drawing up a real simple basic wet fly today. This is from Ray Bergman's book Trout. This is called the Luzerne. It is basically three components. There's no tag on this and no rib or tail. It's just the floss body, mallard flank wing, and a black hackle. So if you're looking to get into starting some wet flies, this is as simple and basic as it gets. No matched wings on this or married wings or anything. No complicated throat or anything like that. It's very straightforward. That's the Luzerne. Now I'll get started tying. Start the Luzerne with my hook and the vise. This is a Mustad 33.99 in a size 6. I go ahead and debarb the hook. For thread, I'm going to start with a Danville 6/0 in white. The Luzerne is a very simple fly. There's no tag on this, there's no rib, there's no tail. There's a body of claret or dark claret floss. So we're going to use some white underneath it so that we don't darken up that floss. I've already waxed the thread. I'm going to start about an eye length behind the eye of the hook. I'm going to run my thread down to almost the end of the shank, just past the point of the hook a little bit. And now I'm going to tie in the body. The body, I'm using a dark claret. This is a Danville 4-strand Rayon. I'm going to tie in all 4 strands. However, as you'll see, I'm only going to use 3 strands to make the body. I'm going to pull this back so it's just to the end of the body there. A few wraps downward to bind that in, and then back forward, touching turns, nice smooth underbody. Some of the videos that you've seen where I have tied some of these wet flies or soft hackle flies that have a tip on the end of them made out of floss, I'll use an extra strand of floss to wrap over that to bind that in so that the floss doesn't unravel and start to move down the shank of the hook. Well, I found in these kinds of flies here, it's kind of the same thing. Even though I tie this in here and it's not going down the bend to begin with, these few wraps here can kind of loosen, I don't want to say unravel, but they shift. And next thing you know, your body starts to creep down over the bend. So to help prevent that, what we do is we take a single strand of that floss, we leave that out. If you want, you can fish around in all of your strands and find the one that's closest to the back there. So when you're tying these in, that one's going to be my security. The other 3 are going to make up the body. If you want a little bit thicker body, you could tie in a 5th strand. That way you're using 4 to actually make the body. I'll secure those at the end of the body here, back of the head space. Trim away the excess. Now I'll take this single strand here, and I'm just going to fold this over forward over the top of the fly, securing that in. And as I said, this is going to just keep that back end from shifting down over the bend of the hook. Trim away the excess. Set that aside for another fly if you want. Run my thread down to behind the eye of the hook, and now I'm going to switch over to my finishing thread, which is a black Danville 6/0. I've already waxed this. The rest of the fly is a mallard flank wing and a black hackle. So at the back of the head space, I'm going to tie in my wing. The idea for this, there's lots of different ways, and if you've seen some of the other videos, I've shown you different examples of how you can tie in this mallard flank for a wing. What I've done here is I've gone ahead and cut out a right and a left slip from these two wings, these two feathers, which were similar in shape and size. And that gives me, when I put them together, two nice slips of mallard flank for a wing. If I had a tail on here, I want the tips to go about halfway down that. I tie this in. Bring this down in another pinch wrap to secure it. I'll put a couple wraps in to make certain that that wing is nice and secure. Again, there's multiple different ways that you can tie these wings in. And it's all up to you in terms of which way you prefer. This one is splitting up on me just a little bit. I'm going to try and tie this in again. See if I can't get this to stick together just a little bit better. That one's not going in that well. Well, I'd hope to have those all done and have that go in, but it's all kind of cockeyed on me, so let me find a couple more feathers here. The other thing is these mallard flanks here, if you want, you can choose a mallard flank feather like this that's a little bit lighter, or some of them are a little bit darker. As you can see, these that I had the original wing from were a bit darker. It's up to you if you want to have a little bit darker wing. It's almost, some of these almost look like they're a teal. As you can see, some of these barbs here don't zip up together that well. They may be damaged. They, are just a lot of handling and everything. A little steaming sometimes can fix that up for you. I'm going to change my approach on this one. I'm going to take away the fluff here on this, and I'm going to do, for the sake of the video, this one's going to be a little bit quicker in that I'm going to do what I do in a lot of these videos, and that is to just cut the center out right here. So I cut the center out like that. Then I'm going to take these, and I'm going to fold these together like this, and that will give me a nice wing. Wrapping that in and securing it. Let's see what we got. That looks a lot better. So sometimes the simplest approach maybe is the best approach. Trim away the excess on that. Now I'm going to wrap this in, smooth this all off, and clean it up a little bit for the hackle. The hackle is just a black hackle that we're going to collar around. I have a black hen hackle here. Go ahead and take some of this fluff off. I don't have to take all of it off. I don't want to. I'm going to tie this in not quite by the tip because I only need a couple, 2-3 wraps of this hackle in here. And I want to make certain that the resulting barbs on the outside of that are going to be about as long as from just behind the eye to around the point of the hook. This doesn't have to be a real thick collar, so I'm going to take about halfway down that feather, cut the excess off. It's going to give me a little handle to tie this in. Bring my thread down behind the eye. Get my Hackle pliers. And again, I'll only get probably 2, at the most 3 wraps in here. That's about 1 right there. 1 complete one, and that's about 2. Yeah, and that's all I have on the feather. It brings it right on up behind the eye. I'll secure that in, folding everything back, and I'll start wrapping from behind the eye of the hook backwards to make the head. This binds all that in, it tidies it up, and makes a nice, neat little head to the fly. I can then pop off the rest of that rachis, flatten my thread, and I'll put in a whip finish and a little head cement. Cut away my thread. I'm going to put half a drop of head cement on both sides of the head here. That'll soak down in and solidify all those thread wraps. I'm going to come back in a second and put a couple coats of black lacquer on this, and that will finish our Luzerne. Now, if you have some teal, you might want to try some teal in the wing here, just to give it a little bit darker, more pronounced contrast. It's up to you. But it's a very, very simple wet fly, and actually, and I'm not certain how technical this is in terms of wet flies and soft hackle flies, but the only thing that's really making this a wet fly, I think, is the wing. If you were to take that out, you just got a floss body and a collared hackle. It's just like a little wet fly. Excuse me, a small soft hackle. That's what I meant to say, not a wet fly. It is a wet fly. So that's the Luzerne, simple little basic wet fly. Thanks for watching today. Thank you for joining me at the Vise today. I hope you learned a new pattern, at least a tip or trick here and there. If you'd like to help Dress Irons, you can like, comment, share, subscribe, all those wonderful things for the video. You can also head out to dressedirons.com where you can buy flies, tools, stickers, and merch, or you can join a growing community over on Locals at the Dressed Irons Fly Tying Guild. You can also donate to Dressed Irons if you want through the link at the bottom of the description. I thank everybody for their ongoing support, as it really does help the creation of these videos. What's important is to remember, only fly tying. If you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong.